And it's the same thing over and over again. I think, well, what was BP called? Anglo-American Oil?
Yeah, that's what they call themselves. But BP is a direct descendant.
No, exactly. I mean, it's the same company. You're absolutely right in that Dutch partnership. But I mean, it's the same players over and over again.
Yeah. Well, it's just that they are so powerful. And here's Obama. You know, he was asked just a half hour ago at his press conference. You know, do you feel a little funny about that decision you made 2 weeks before the oil blow up in the Gulf? When you said that, we have to drill offshore, and these companies, you know, have reduced the dangers greatly. And he said, well, I still think we have to drill offshore, but, my mistake was taking the word of the companies. Well, for Pete's sake, of course they take the word of the companies. Look at the people that they had in the Interior Department, people who are still there, taking bribes and everything else from the oil companies. The system is corrupt. What Obama should have done is come in, got rid of all those people, given them jobs in the library if he couldn't fire them, and get some real control over these precious resources, despite the avarice and the desire of people like BP to control this important resource.
Okay, Ray McGovern, stay there. Let's come back and get your breakdown of where you see Afghanistan and Pakistan going, and then to the west, what your intel is from all your sources. Is it green light to go into Iran? Who will hit? U.S. operation with Israel? Israel goes it alone? We'll talk about that and a lot more, plus the North Korea situation. I can't wait to get into North Korea and see what Ray McGovern thinks about that. All I see is headlines everywhere about possible nuclear war and shelling Seoul and the disputed areas with the ships, and China's in Bloomberg saying we may shield North Korea, and the Pentagon saying they're ready for war. The war was never terminated. It's been a ceasefire for 50-plus years. Going back to Ray McGovern, this is a short segment, long segment coming up. Ray, when I interrupted you earlier with some other questions about why they're there, where do you see Afghanistan going? I mean, 2 weeks ago, they said 1,000 drones are being dispatched for Pakistan and Afghanistan, and that now they don't have to identify somebody before they kill them. Just if you look like you're a terrorist, kind of like those kids in Baghdad in the minivan looked like terrorists, and reporters with cameras look like terrorists. I mean, this sounds like an incredible escalation. It sounds like LBJ in 1966.
Well, funny you should mention that, Alex, because I was thinking of this wonderful new aircraft that had been developed around then. It was called a B-52. And, that was going to solve all our problems in Vietnam. What we're going to do is bomb the hell out of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And LBJ came to us intelligence types and said, these blue-suited generals are telling me this will do it. What do you think? Now, we suppressed a laugh. Having known about the effect of aircraft in World War II, and knowing that it simply increases the resistance of populations like the Vietnamese, and we waited 2 days, and then we gave them an estimate. We used to do national intelligence estimates. Now they're not done very much anymore. And we told the president, look, Mr. President, Ho Chi Minh is not the kind of person who's going to give up under how many B-52s or how heavy the bombs they drop. And besides, Mr. President, you should be aware that the Ho Chi Minh Trail doesn't look anything like I-81 or I-95 or the George Washington Memorial Parkway. You can't even see it from the air in many respects. It's about 181 trails, Mr. President. Ain't no way that B-52s are going to do the job. Now, we were right, of course, but the corollary there is the president doesn't have to heed intelligence. He just didn't want to lose a war. And so he said, well, let's try these blue-suited guys. They might be right. And so we tried it, and we know the answer. Now, similarly, here we are over Afghanistan. We had this new weapon, which most people don't realize, Alex, and I knew about this when it was being developed. It was developed for a specific purpose, and that purpose only, and that was to give us a hovering capability where we could monitor developments on the ground more than 2 times a day. 2 times a day being when the satellites would pass over these areas, okay? Now, we got this thing developed. It worked beautifully, and then it was shown to some general in the Pentagon, and he said, I don't want to see the tank. I want to destroy the tank. Put some missiles on that bird. Therefore, you get predators, you get reapers with Hellfire missiles, and you get an awful lot of disenchantment and hostility out of the people in Pakistan in particular that are being bombed to hell by these things. It's looked on as a very cowardly thing.
That's right. At a primitive level, having like Terminator machines out of the sky bombing you, and it's literally 22-year-old zit-faced kids in trailers thousands of miles away in a video game setup. And go ahead, you got a wedding. We think some guy's got a gun in there. Everybody's got guns in those countries. I mean, it's a tribal, red-blooded type area. And then they kill 100 innocent people. Now you've created 1,000 enemies because their entire family and every cousin they've got who may have loved America back in the 80s, they're ready to kill. They're ready to trade their life to kill Americans. And so the idea is pump more Americans in.
That's exactly right. And, people have asked me, these Hellfire missiles, are they accurate? And I say, well, yeah, they are. They're extremely accurate. They're more accurate than anything we've had up till now. But the question is, how do you identify the targets? Now, you can really tell what a militant is from 30,000 feet, can't you? Give me a break. You can really find out who the Taliban and the Al-Qaeda types are by asking their neighbors who have asking people's neighbors who have unsatisfied grudges against them. The targets are the name of the game, and if you get targets from people who have grudges or from 22-year-olds looking from 30,000 feet up, you got a real problem. What I find really telling, Alex, is these reapers and these predators, interesting the labels they give these aircraft, they're controlled by these young NCOs out at Creech Air Force Base near Las Vegas.
Stay there, sir. We got a break. Long segment. We'll go back to Creech Air Force Base and talk about the predators and drones with Ray McGovern, CIA analyst, briefer to the presidents. Very honored to have him here with us today. He's got a new article out. We'll put that on screen as well. Stay with us.